Boom. Good gracious. That took a little bit, huh? That took me like way longer than it really should have. Nice. Well, good morning. At least it's morning right now. I'm recording. It's 8:30, about 8:30, and we just watched Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom was dope. To the uninitiated, it's the it's kind of like the WrestleMania of for Japan. So it's New Japan. I'm sure if anyone's watching this and doesn't know what my niche wrestling interest is, that's pretty dope. I reached somebody. Uh, but yeah, basically, this is dope. This event was dope. It was, in a nutshell, it kind of opened up really soft and really underwhelming. The last three matches in Wrestle Kingdom fashion were, all three match of the year candidates just about. I think two of them won't be by the end of the year, but I think one of them very much was. Uh, Definitely, well, last year we had Okada Ospreay, which was that was guaranteed a match of the year for me. That was my favorite match of the year. It was one of my favorite matches of all time, actually. It was a crazy good match. And then you also had Okada versus Shingo, which was another GOAT level match. Clearly one of the best matches of the year as well. But we're going to run through the card pretty succinctly. We're even going to run through the prelims. So if anybody watched and kind of wanted that outlet, I know I like having that outlet to kind of talk about this stuff. Hang with me here, and we're gonna roll through. We're gonna roll through the match card. Give me a moment for a little water break, and we'll talk about the first prelim match. And we're not gonna talk too much about these prelim matches, and there will be timestamps. So if you want to skip ahead, please feel free to do so. I'm sure not everybody wants to hear about Riho Oiwa versus Bolton Oleg. So 1 second here. All right, and yeah, so this whole card was kind of really stacked for a lot of people. A lot of people had really high hopes for this New Japan. I saw a Reddit comment that said this was the most stacked New Japan since 14, like most stacked Wrestle Kingdom since 14, not New Japan. Good gracious, as a fan of New Japan, calling Wrestle Kingdom New Japan is embarrassing. But I don't know about that skipper, right? We had a what 14 here was Kota and Okada, and that feels so long ago, right? I mean, this feels forever ago. And I remember this wasn't the craziest match I thought it possibly could have been, right? We didn't really know what we were going to have when this match happened. I think this summer we also had Ibushi beat Okada in the G1 that summer to win it. I think not to win it, but to get out of block. I think it was like the block semifinals, quote unquote. I think Ibushi ended up using two Kamigoyes to beat Okada, but that's a little bit of Wrestle Kingdom lore for you. We also had Naito and Ibushi go at it, and a lot of Naito fans were pretty miffed, but I don't know. I don't really think I agree. I think this card had a lot of really cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. Of course, we didn't have the Liger reunion stuff, but look at your double main event again. Was you had Okada? I think White was coming in as IWGP Intercontinental Champion, right? Um, and yeah, you had a lot of stuff go down here. Very big time matchup. Was this Ospreay? Oh, this is Junior Ospreay. Doesn't this feel like a world ago when we had Will Ospreay still as a junior in the juniors division? I think this was before. This was the year prior was and we'll talk about this later for the Omega Ospreay match, but the before this was Ospreay versus Ibushi to open up Wrestle Kingdom, so that was 13. How far we've come from that was 14. Yep, Jericho Tana. I remember this. I did not like this match that much. I thought this match was very limited because both guys are a little bit older and they wrestle a slower pace. It's not a bad thing, but it does limit some of the stuff you can do, right? I think that's just natural. This was our opener. This is the prelim. So we had this in the New Japan Ranbo. Again, if you don't watch a lot of Wrestle Kingdom or a lot of New Japan, because I've obviously seen many of them right now, I'm rattling off history about it. But so the first match is prelims. We had a couple of young lions go at it. Bolton Oleg and Ryoe Oiwa. I don't really know shit about either of these guys. We're talking about the bottom of the card. But this was fun. They wrestled to a draw. A lot of good opening wrestling stuff early. Bolton takes the lead, but Oiwa gets the kind of the comeback to make a non-competitive affair a draw. A lot of good action here. A lot of very just normal, basic wrestling shit. I love old wrestling. I love 80s and 70s wrestling a lot, along with my New Japan. So if you're like me, this was just like another way to get that kind of fix in a sense, and you just see a lot of fundamentals and basics. This was just a prelim, so we're gonna go past it. Fun stuff. Bolton Oleg is a hoss looking fucking guy, and he was decked out in that singlet, so hopefully we can see more of him in the future. Same with Oiwa. I mean, big, beefy looking Japanese young lion. Hopefully he makes something out of it. And then we had the Ranbo, and this year's card, man, if you're a New Japan fan, you might feel me, was weird, wasn't it? It was weird. Uh, so we had Great Okan in the Ranbo. We had again the Ranbo is a battle royale, by the way. Again, if you don't watch a lot of Wrestle Kingdom and maybe you just tuned in to you just watched the Omega Ospreay match, right? And that was it, and that's fine. I mean, everybody watches different stuff for different stuff. I'm a weird purist, I guess might be the word. I don't know. Fundamentalist is probably the word. I hate watching wrestling cards just for one match. I watch the whole card. But the Rambo was stacked this year. We had we had normal faces like Taguchi was in here, right? But we had Evil, Ishii, Okan, and Shingo Takagi. And apparently Shingo Takagi had said he wasn't even going to be at Wrestle Kingdom, so he was going to be at home. So that was crazy to see Shingo Takagi. Oh, by the way, spoilers. Duh. We're going to have a lot of spoilers. So that's going to be in the title. If you're here, you've seen the event, or you haven't seen the event, you want to hear about it, which is cool. Um, but yeah, this is the Ranbo. This is for the KOPW. The final four in this Ranbo will wrestle for the KOPW championship, and the rules of the Ranbo: over the top or pinfall submission. So we had some cool stuff here. El Phantasma did the Kofi Kingston spot where he flies from the apron and lands onto the guardrail. But instead of fucking up, he actually did it. No shame or slide to Kofi Kingston. Incredible athlete, of course. Great wrestler. But that was pretty cool. Had some other cool stuff in this matchup. Taguchi used his butt a lot, and then they did if you've seen Naruto where Kakashi does the 1,000 Fingers of Death to Naruto's ass, they did that to Taguchi. Taguchi using funky weapon, throwing his butt everywhere. I fucking love that. Fucking live for that shit. Man, I find New Japan so much fun to watch. I'm such a New Japan boy, but yeah, this was this is a Ranbo, but Evil goes down early. Ishii left a little early. Very stacked Ranbo, and to see so many talented guys come around and really show out like this, it really was sick. We saw Hikuleo for a long time because he came in first. Big ass Hikuleo. That guy seems like he could be really cool. He also just seems really limited. Uh, but this was a fun Rambo. Your final four ended up being, what was it? Shingo Takagi, Toru Yano, who rolled into the ring at the last minute, and we never ever saw Toru Yano until the match was called, and we saw Yano rolling underneath the ring. He had checked in, but he had never. His entrance music didn't even hit. You didn't even hear his theme. He never like walked down the ramp. It was very funny. So yeah, Toru Yano with the easiest payday of his life. Uh, Toru Yano, Shingo, Okan, uh, and Yo. Or no, not Yo. Sorry, Show. Show got in there. Yo is in the tag championship match later, which we'll go over. Terrible match. We'll talk about it actually next. But that's a good way to bridge into it. But yeah, those are your final four. Fun action, fun stuff. Nothing crazy here. It was a rumble, battle royales. Somebody on the Reddit for NJPW was going crazy. They were like, "This is a modern day reason why battle royales are bad and are awful," and they have their place. I think that New Japan does a really good job at saying, look, this is a battle royale. It's for giggles, it's for fun, it's a prelim match. It's no big stakes, it doesn't mean a lot. Enjoy it. It's fun. Have fun with it. And they're not too long either. They don't overstay their welcome. So I think that's nice. It is for what it was. It's always a tradition at this point for Wrestle Kingdoms to have the Ranbo, and I fucking love them. I mean, I think New Japan's at its best, not in these main event matches at Wrestle Kingdom, but, and this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I think they're at their best when the undercard is really strong and the mid card is strong, because the main events are always there. To be honest, I mean, you have Okada running around. I mean, he's insane, and Jay White insane. Takagi has been insane. So those are always delivering, but when the mid card is really strong, that's when it's the most fun to watch these events, because there's a lot that goes on in the underneath that is important. If you're one of those people that just watch the main events, again, I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying there's a excuse me, there's a lot in New Japan to be looking at and going, yeah, this is good shit. So we'll move on from the Ranbo, giving a lot of thoughts here as I as I go along. It's been a long night. I'm very sleepy, but I just wanted to get so many thoughts out there, and I fucking love this shit. So I thought I'd talk about it a little bit. So here's our opening match of the night, and I'm gonna say this a lot. If you like something and I'm pooping on it, that's okay. We're different people. We have different opinions about wrestling, and that's cool. Mighty fine. This was one of the worst New Japan matches I've seen, and I watch a good bit of New Japan. This match was bad. Very bad. There's a lot of problems I have with a lot of wrestling that's pretty around right now. This was 0 to 100 from the start. I believe Lio Rush and Yoh are the baby faces, but maybe that wasn't communicated well enough by the English broadcast, which is a little weird because I like Kevin Kelly a lot and Carlton. I think they're really well together, and Kelly's just really good anyway. But TJP opens the match getting hit with an over-the-top rope, like, front flip, like a springboard front flip from Yoh, and then they fuck up a lot of stuff for later in the night too. It's really weird. And I'm just gonna say, I like juniors. I like the juniors in New Japan, and there's a time and place to do some of this stuff, and you can build to it. And the Fatal 4-Way Juniors match does a lot of cool stuff that they build to really well. This match was just nonsense. If you play TEW at all, which I actually have, I have TEW right here bookmarked. You'd probably get the penalty for like no psychology in this match. This was a trash match, man. But there's a time and place to do these really big spots and go crazy and all out and build to that. The juniors match later does that. I like Yoh. He's great in the juniors tournaments. I like Lio Rush. I've seen him wrestle a good bit. I think I watched him last year at GCW's Hammerstein Ballroom event. He had a pretty decent match. I don't know much about Akira, and I don't know much about TJP right now because I haven't been keeping too close a tab on the junior tags. I know they've been reigning tag champs for a bit. I'm not a big fan of TJP. I think he's kind of a moves guy, but I think he's fine at times. But this was everywhere, all out. Never felt like a tag team match. Never felt like two tag teams. This felt chaotic and crazy as all hell. It felt like some sort of indie like PWG match, and that's fine, but like here at Wrestle Kingdom, it just felt out of place and out of weird whack. One of the big things they do, which kind of hurts two matches later on in the night, one of them being Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, is Lio Rush goes to do a move outside, and this is like not even a minute in, like, because the first thing is literally Yoh jumping outside to attack TJP. Lio Rush runs at, I believe, TJP, and then he gets thrown in the air, and then they do Francesca Akira, like, face busters him. And they do it on the ramp, and then Carlton has a stupid ass line. He goofs this up real bad. It's really funny. He's like, "Oh no, right onto those LED lights. The shards are going into his face." He says some shit like that, and I'm just like, "Are you dumb? The fucking ramp is like laminated. The lights are underneath like plexiglass." What the fuck are they talking about? What do you mean he's got, you can see it, and the camera zooms in and you can see like you can just see the glass, like you can see the lights are clearly under like a glass ramp or whatever, and like no shit they are, because you're not going to be walking on them, duh. And I don't know why Carlton said that. It's so stupid. But somehow, miraculously, on a flat surface, Lio Rush gets up and he's fucking bleeding. He's bleeding from his top right eye, and it's like a cut. It looks like I mean, if you've ever watched like UFC or MMA, it looks like he got his eye cut open. Like he took a hook to the eye, to the face, and now his eye's cut. But he landed on a flat surface, or maybe he caught an elbow on the way down. I didn't see it, and New Japan doesn't do a lot of replays, so maybe he caught an elbow down, but if he bladed, this has to be the worst blade job ever. Like, the fucking worst. My god, this has to be the worst fucking blade job ever. This guy... And I like Lio Rush, but like, what the fuck happened? And he's bleeding everywhere. So we had a big spot on the stage, which, by the way, this happens again later in another match that's really important, in the Tama Tonga Karl Anderson match. And he's bleeding now, and you're going to see blood in the Ospreay Kenny Omega match. So now we've already seen a guy bleed and a guy get plastered on the ramp in the first kickoff match. This is not the prelim anymore, this is the opener. And it just sucks, because one of my favorite matches in Wrestle Kingdom is the opener between the Young Bucks and Roppongi 3UK for the junior tags. And I think Matt Jackson's working his back really well. He's doing an angle where his back's like really fucked up. And the match is great. It's so good. It's like one of my favorite tag team matches of all time. It's one of my favorite Wrestle Kingdom matches. Like, I remember spots and watching it, and it was so good. And I can't remember if it was Wrestle Kingdom. Might have been 13 or 12. I think it was 12. So about 5 years ago. Excuse me. But it just sucks. It sucks. I don't have a disdain for flippy wrestlers doing flippy shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like that, but I have a disdain when the match makes no sense, and then they go out there, and in kayfabe, they screw up some spots later on for and I don't mean to be mean, but much more important matches, or higher featured matches. I don't think anyone's arguing. Like, the Karl Anderson Tama Tonga match is higher on the card. It's a bigger featured match. Kenny Omega Will Ospreay is the fucking co-main. So this match was nonsense. TJP Akira retain. I think that's fine. Kind of helps some sort of prestige, I guess. Who cares? This match was dumb. It was really bad. The the next match is also pretty bad. So again, I love New Japan. I'm a New Japan fanboy, dude. I'm telling you, I rarely have critique about New Japan. Like, I like House of Torture, I like Evil and all the stuff they were doing. I thought it was great. I don't think New Japan's had bad years with COVID. Like, I think it's been fine. I think the product's been really good, and I think the booking's still really dope. I've enjoyed a lot of it, but this match was really bad. And then this wasn't a bad match for what it was. So Tam Nakano, Kairi Sane wrestle. If you don't know anything about Nakano and Kairi, I mean, you should probably know a little bit about Kairi, I'd assume, if you've watched some wrestling. But Tam Time is dope. She's very athletic, does a lot of strikes, has this really sick spinning kick. Nakano's really cool shit. As a joke, I was going to time the match because I was like, this doesn't go 10 minutes, or if it goes like 11 if it goes 10. This went about 7 minutes. And in that 7 minutes, we saw a lot of cool shit. Kairi did a few back spinning fists, which clocked the shit out of Nakano. Nakano did her spinning kick that just sent Kairi. Kairi hit the elbow for the win. Kairi did a really good job. I thought I saw the spoiler here. Yeah, here we go. We'll talk about this in a second. So I'm sure you might have already seen that. But Kairi hit the elbow. This was for 7 minutes. This was good action. This was good. This is what it was. They did a good job. But it was still 7 minutes, and it still didn't feel like a Wrestle Kingdom match. And this just felt kind of shoehorned in. And then on top of that, you had to make time for this. So, big rumor. We already knew she was coming. Or a lot of people did. I actually didn't know anything about this till the night of. I don't really keep too much of an ear to dirt sheets. I really don't enjoy keeping an ear to them. Kind of ruins my immersion. Just my opinion. If you do, it's not like you're an asshole or an idiot. I get the appeal. When I was younger, I used to read through them all the time. There was actually an app for wrestling news and dirt sheets. I'd fucking be in algebra scrolling through. If you could believe that, I'd be scrolling through for wrestling dirt sheets. What a nerd I am. Oh my god. Drink all this water. I still have so much stuff in my chest. But after this, Sasha Banks comes down. Mercedes Moné, right? Monet, whatever kind of accent on it. She cuts a very, very shit promo. It was the WWE style of promo where you drone on and you wait for some emphasis or some emphatic point, bitch. And it was very shit. Like, it sounded like that. It did not sound natural. It sounded very crappy, very, very, very bad. Like all the things that make a standard cookie cutter WWE promo bad. This was fucking bad. So, on top of that, to be very, very frank, you could hear a pin drop. The crowd didn't give a shit. They did not care. We'll talk a bit about the New Japan crowd and what did make them pop. This was not one of them. So no one gave a fuck. The promo was cringy. It was bad. It was long. And then they botched something. Sasha Banks unveiled like a new finisher or something. It's kind of like you get him into a gory bomb. Sasha Banks wraps around Kairi, like on her back, like a gory bomb or a gory stretch. And then she's supposed to like release her and turn around and DDT her. And it looks a little funny. It kind of looks like Kairi will reverse it to an arm drag. Like she'll slip out of it and then twirl around an arm dragger. But instead of an arm drag, she gets planted face down to a DDT. So it's like Sasha Banks is releasing her into one. It's very convoluted. It looks very ugly. It takes a lot of setup to not look that cool, in my opinion. And in all that, the camera angle was so weird. It just looked like a botch, and it looked really fucking shit. And it almost looked like Kairi got out of the maneuver or the hold. So very, very funny, very, very odd. It was very shit. But that happened. So the match was fine, but we had this weird, awkward segment afterwards, and it was so... I don't understand why you couldn't do this during New Year's Dash. You could have did this during New Year's Dash. You could have given this match a little bit more importance. You could have did this at New Year's Dash. Because you still had the tease of her being there. So, I don't know. This was poor. It was a lot of crap. But we're gonna move forward because I don't want to drain on the bad stuff. I really don't. The next match was a very fun. I really hope we can find it. This was the here we go, baby. We had an old man's Japan match. I love these. This is so. If you didn't like the first two matches and you don't watch New Japan a lot, you might have hated the first three matches, honestly. Or you might have enjoyed the opener but really didn't like these two. This is a prototypical old man's Japan match. So we see Kojima, Nagata, Makabe versus 69 years old Tatsumi Fujinami, Minoru Suzuki, and Tiger Mask. I believe Tiger Mask's like 58. Makabe's 52. No, I think he's 50. Kojima's 52. I think Nagata's like 49. But hilarious here. So I love these matches because the crowd loves these matches. And I talk a bit about how Japan, if you're not up to speed on this, Japan's population is like fucking old. It's like one of the oldest, if not the oldest, on average. The average age in Japan is like 48. In the US, it's 38, and that's like 44th in the world, like pretty kind of standard. Japan's is 48, and in about 50 years, a little less, their population is projected to be like cut in half. So in a way, there's a lot of older people in that audience for sure. If you ever look at the crowd, you ever watch New Japan events. So they kind of grew up around Kojima or aside Kojima and Makabe, or saw them maybe when they were in their, youth a bit. And Fujinami as well. And that's why these Inoki things are so big too, because he means so much to so many people. But yeah, these old guys are mega popular. Makabe is like a bit of a TV star. Kojima gets a ton of crowd pop for the Kojima chops. Suzuki is big over. He was getting cheers. Tiger Mask is still over. So this is a bit of a futtery old man's match. And again, if you're a bit uninitiated, and if you don't watch or really like these guys or appreciate them, which you don't have to, if these are just 6 old guys being fucking ancient and it was trash, I get it. But I love these matches, so I thought this was great. I really enjoy old dudes, these legends coming around, and they're not in the main event spot. It's not like the WWE, right? It's not Goldberg like rampaging through Kevin Owens or a young stud or something like that. It's 6 old dudes going at it, and it's fucking lit. And everybody gets their trip around the pond. So it was enjoyable, to say the least, for me. They botched the finish. It's very funny. Tiger Mask is like too fucking old to like do a sunset flip, like roll up or some shit. I really don't even know what it was. It was so fucked. But Tiger Mask just goes down and he just fucking falls. And then he gets like covered awkwardly by I believe it was Makabe pinned him. Or no, I think it was Nagata. Very, very fucking funny. But it was so enjoyable, and this brought up my spirits. So, but again, I mean, you might have thought this was just crappy, boring wrestling. I thought it was great. I enjoyed these guys a lot. The the next match on the card, we got to see the best tag team in all of wrestling, and it's not fucking close, by the way. FTR. I might have my match order wrong. This might not have came right after, but I really think about. I'm pretty sure it did. What is this, third match? This is not third match. I promise you. Yeah, this was definitely third match. They like moved them. We had, you know, FTR versus Goto and Yoshihashi. Bishimori, is it Bishimori? I can't remember. I never remember their tag team, man. Their name, I really don't, but they're fun to watch. Goto and Yoshihashi have been fun to watch in tag action for a while. There's a there's like a streak. It's kind of like if you remember, there used to be posts about Nick Saban and LeBron James. Whenever Saban won a national championship, LeBron would win a finals in the same years. This happened like 5 times. Uh, Whenever Goto wins a tag league, I think it's Okada wins at the Dome, which Okada wins at the Dome anyway, but it's very funny. Uh, Goto and Yoshihashi won a tag league. Yoshihashi has one of the best stories in wrestling. Came from like super jobber status to now is one of the best budding studs in Japan. Not even really budding, just a solid mid card dude. And you need guys like this to carry your cards and to carry your wrestling, right? Because you, your shows should be more than the top guys at the main event. Like the best shows should have it from top to bottom, and Yoshihashi is formed into one of those dudes that can deliver. FTR is great. They're perfect. I fucking love these guys. I just really do. I'm not a guy that loves FTR and like hates the Bucks or some shit. I'm not weird, but I mean FTR just has advertised. These guys are great. I I watched the FTR versus Briscoes match. I believe it was at Slammiversary this year. Was the first one, and it was worth the admission. It was so good. Such a good tag team match. Uh, I don't believe they had that at Final Battle, or not Final Battle, but the Ring of Honor event back in around March because I think the Briscoes had some colorful comments on the internet, which I think they apologized for, so that's pretty cool. But FTR is great. These guys kill it every time. This match wasn't a barn burner FTR tag team match per se. It was more of a, well, how should I put this? It was more of a, it was a really good tag team match. It was the first match in ring that really like cemented like, all right, we're at Wrestle Kingdom now. Like this is the big time heater matches that are gonna be dope. There was a lot of action in and around, but really Hardwood and Cash were just on top over Goto for a bit, 2v1ing him, really beating into him. Had a lot of really cool moments, but Goto and Yoshihashi end up winning this one late, and a lot of it is Yoshihashi and Goto are setting up their finish multiple times, but they just get wheeled out of it, and then FTR takes it on top. It very simply, easily told story, easily to follow. That's the awesome thing is that FTR pro wrestling is simple. It's so simple, and FTR makes it simple. And to follow this match was sublime. Enjoyed it. Was the first match to really be like, hey, this is Wrestle Kingdom. We're bringing the level that you need to see. Then we got this match. Oh, this match. This was like the. In previous years, you've had like special singles match, and it might be like a Jeff Cobb Hoss match with Ishii for the Never title. This was like that, but it wasn't a Hoss match, but it was really, really good. So, I love Zack Sabre Jr. He's fucking amazing, and I'm not as big on Narita. We'll talk about Shota Umino a little bit later when his match comes around, but Umino's a bit of a clone of Tanahashi, right? Takes a lot of inspiration. But Ren Narita is like a Shibata fanboy too, but he's like way worse. Like he's got like Shibata posters. He's like wants to lose his virginity to Shibata. Like, has his name tatted on his butt. Has every album. Like only talks in Shibata quotes. Like he is the worst fanboy, and he's fine. but I really hope he finds his niche as we continue on here in New Japan, because he doesn't do it as well. He's not as built. He doesn't have the same aura. And there's nothing wrong with biting in wrestling, like, oh, doing someone else's gimmick. I mean, shit. Look at Hogan, look at Flair. Those guys took gimmicks and look at how successful they were. Fucking, we can talk about how much of a gimmick steal Okada's is from D'Angelo De Niro, right? So I mean, it's fine. Like, it's not that Narita's not allowed to be like Shibata, but I want him to be less like Shibata and more like Ren Narita, if you catch my drift. However, Narita's very solid in ring, and this was a very good match. ZSJ and Narita really go tit for tat. They do some strong style shoot stuff with some really nice kicks, really nasty kicks. The real shining moment is the finish. It's the last 2 minutes of this match. This is for the new TV title, Matt. And the new TV title is being introduced, and you have 15 minutes to a decision. If it's not finished in 15, it will be rescheduled later. It's a draw. And Kevin Kelly on the English cast does a great job of selling this. Great job of selling that gimmick. And you know that they're gonna play that gimmick. Like, and look, maybe you don't, but I've watched thousands and thousands of hours of wrestling, right? Old wrestling. Yeah, I've spent summers binge watching WCW Monday Nitros. I've spent summers binge watching WCW Saturday nights, and WWE Monday Nitros and Ruthless Aggression shows, and I've seen a lot live and as I've grown up. So you know that they're gonna play with the time limit. They're gonna go plus 10 anyway, most likely, because this is one of the featured matches. So they hit 10 minutes and they just start playing with finishes, like roll up into roll up into roll up, and then they start grappling up into each other, and then they start really getting into hold after hold, and then split moment, Zach gets an armbar, fully extends the arm, tap, 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 tap. If your arm extends in an armbar, you're tapping, because if you're not, you're gonna break your fucking arm. And as soon as Zach got the arm and extended it, tap, 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 tap. And that's how it is. That's how it is when you go watch judo, go watch MMA. It's not like the Ronda Rousey arm bar where she's going to just lay in you and hold your arm for fucking ever, right? ZSJ fully extends the arm, Narita tap, 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 tap. Fucking beautiful. And I felt such a rush the last 45 seconds, minute, like, oh God, how's this one gonna end? How's this one gonna end? I don't know. Oh my God, they got time limit. They're going for finishes. Oh shit, what's gonna happen? And even though on the surface, like, ZSJ, he's not a gaijin coming in. He's been in the company. He just won. He won the New Japan Cup last year. He wrestled Okada again for the belt. You know ZSJ is super likely to win, but they just built it so fucking well. And the way the commentary set the rules up, communicating that this is simple shit done right. And again, wrestling is super simple, but if you don't do this shit right, it just becomes it's shitty. Like, you need to take in these finer details just a little bit, and it can make things really, really sick. So I really enjoyed the match, really enjoyed the strong style stuff. This was a solid match for me. This was probably more of a Wrestle Kingdom quality than the tag team match, but was still, didn't outpace that by a lot. We have a lot better to go to. After this, we had our fifth match of the night, which... Oh, no. Sorry, I'm skipping. This is our fifth match. I'm looking at our sixth. This is our fifth match of the night. Give me one moment. So the sixth match of the night was this. Ooh, smacking my knee on my desk. Was the Neverweight belt. Now, this had gotten a lot of controversy because of what Karl Anderson was doing with the Neverweight title. Fun fact, the junior heavyweight title was only defended once. Was coming in being defended fucking once. So, I don't know why everybody was up in arms about the Neverweight title that much and Anderson leaving. I don't know. And apparently people think he's the shits. That's not really true. He's smack dab average, and it's okay. Tama looked great here. Tama, obviously this is a big, heavy Bullet Club feud, stun gun feud. And at one point, Karl Anderson is walking down to the ring, gerrymandering. He's grandstanding, he's gesturing, he's doing all this dick waving. And Tama is just widescreen. Before they zoom in to show you this, you can just see it widescreen. It was like a Fire Pro angle, like where like you see the ring and the ramp a bit, and it's just like wide out corner. And Tama is staring death into the center of the ring, facing away from Karl Anderson, and it's gold. Tama Tonga has nothing on his mind other than murdering Karl Anderson tonight and taking that belt back and sending his ass back to WWE. And there's a question, there's a conundrum, right? When you have these really heated rivalries, these really brutal feuds, what is keeping these guys from killing each other in the back, right? You know, if you really hate somebody, why are we waiting to do this in a match or in a ring? Why aren't we just taking out our issues backstage? Why am I not just fucking sucker punching you and leaving? Why doesn't Karl Anderson just sucker punch Tama Tonga in the back, throw the belt in the trash can, and, you know, take his payday and leave and take the money and run? Tonga, for Karl Anderson, it's that he doesn't care. He's bigger than everybody. He's got an ego. Why Tonga doesn't, at first sight, beat the shit out of Karl Anderson is because he is filled with rage so much that he is just concentrated that he doesn't even do shit when he's going to the ring. Like, he's very, very, very stiff walking to the ring, staring into the mat, and it just sells that Tama Tonga has such a reserved fucking violence. Tama Tonga has been biding his time for so long to get his hands on Karl Anderson, and you know what? He figures, hey, he can wait a little longer for the bell to ring. It's great. It's great storytelling. It's really, really great storytelling. And this is the shit that New Japan just does, and a lot of it's on the talent. Sometimes it's production. But this is great shit. The match, however, wasn't that great, but this is great. Karl Anderson has the belt in hand, they're in the ring, no bell yet, and Karl Anderson mugs Tama Tonga. Again, Tama Tonga's hit with a fucking belt right in the face. No blood. Yet somehow, on a flat surface, Lio Rush cut himself. What the fuck? Makes no sense. Again, he might have been IRL cut by like a knee or an elbow on the way down. I really don't understand how. I have no fucking clue. Again, I don't think he bladed, because if he did, it was the worst blade job ever. But I don't know how he got cut, because all you see is him get off the ramp and Kevin Kelly's like, oh god, there's blood. And you're just like, wait, what the fuck? Why is he bleeding? Oh, is he bleeding? But then he gets up and his eye is like fucking, his eyebrow's like cut in half, and you're like, okay, I don't think he's bleeding. But he fucking could have, who knows? So the belt angle already looks a little weaker in kayfabe, right? And then Karl Anderson looks sick, by the way. He looks sick. Like, Karl Anderson looks like he should be a cult leader in Far Cry. Like, he looks really good tonight. His chest's a little broader. He's got that goatee going for him. He just looks like a villain. He's taking the Jay White tech where you grow a goatee, now you just are an instant villain heel. And look, the crowd hates Karl Anderson, right? Like, it's not even a smart thing to not like him. Like, he's getting tons of boos, loud boos. He's getting that crowd in an uproar over this shit. And it's great. It's great shit. Anderson stunks Tama with the belt, and then he, tosses him outside. He's beating the shit out of him. And every time Anderson even sniffs Tama, like, on his knees, crawling to the ring, he beats the shit out of him again. And it's kind of like a wise heel move, right? He's not just going into the ring to taunt. Like, he's trying to really hurt Tama Tonga. And he's also trying to ensure an easy victory, an easy pay. Let me get out of here. But then we get out on the apron, and Tama Tonga is planted on the ramp, and he is planted on the ramp. And again, we just had someone get planted on the ramp earlier. So now we've seen this same spot twice tonight, and this is supposed to have consequences, and it just doesn't matter. Luckily, Karl Anderson also decided it doesn't, because he goes for stun gun anyway. Tama reverses. There's a lot of going for stun gun getting reversed in this match. Not a lot to see here in between the ropes. It kind of is what it is. This isn't a bad match, but it's not the Ren Narita quality. It wasn't the tag team quality. But it also didn't overstay its welcome, and that's important. If you're going to have a match like this, I don't want to watch it for 20 minutes. I don't want to watch it for 15. I think this went about 11. If it went longer, it didn't feel it. So, and this wasn't horrible. This wasn't bad. If you watched the Old Man tag and you were like, wow, this is shitty wrestling, you wouldn't have felt the same about this, I don't think. Because this, as much as this felt like the main event of Impact, and this very much was the main event of Impact, it's still, like, nothing here was bad, so it was fine. There was a belt, there was a heated rivalry, there were some stakes, there was some really good shit in the midst of this. I thought the opening to this was great. I thought Anderson got a lot of heat early. The build to this match, the entrances, the first 2 minutes, great. The rest of this, mid. But Tama wins, so Raikai wins. I'm sure a lot of New Japan fans, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Or please let the door maybe hit you on the way out, right? So I think that's a bigger thing for a lot of them. Truly. But got other stuff to do, gotta move on here. But this was fine for what it was. This is what we had here. And I talked about that age demographic earlier and a lot of these old guys getting pops. Well, without a doubt, the largest crowd reaction of the night was Keiji Muto. And I guarantee you, it does not hurt the bottom dollar for New Japan if the main event was Keiji Muto and fucking Kojima. Like, it really doesn't. These guys are over. These guys are really over. Fans love them. They go loud for them. And I know there was Muto's last... This isn't Muto's last match ever. It's not even his last match in the Dome. That's happening in February. This is his last New Japan match. And that still means a lot. But, the dude just carries. People would totally shill money in Japan to watch that Wrestle Kingdom main event. This was a fun 3v3. Keiji Muto goes for the moonsault, and Tanahashi runs down the apron and waves him off. He's like, no, please don't do that. Please don't. No, please. Do not moonsault. Please don't do that. And Keiji Muto's like, man, fine. And it's very funny. Sonata leads off against Muto. If you don't know the significance, Muto was his trainer. Sonata also does the moonsault. So, direct link there. He was tied a lot to Muto early in his career, too, because of it. It was kind of like his gimmick at the start. It's also why there's so many parallels with him and Naito as well, right? The babyfaces win. Shota Umino is definitely baby Tana, but he's 75% Tanahashi and he's 25% Scott Steiner. He's 100 miles per hour. He looks just like Braun Breaker out there, just zooming. He's really fucking jacked. He's also a little short, so he's really jacked and stout up top, and then he's short, and then he thins out. It's very funny. His body, he looks great, but he just looks funny. He looks like a 5'8" running back. It's silly. The Umino is good. He's his own character. Like, you already can tell. He's got like a crazy intensity out there, like a really unrivaled intensity, I think, in New Japan right now. I would love to see what he turns into. I'm a lot more excited for Shota Umino over like Ren Narita per se, just in my opinion. This match did the trick. If you really don't like the New Japan Tag 6v6, like they're sorry 3v3, I get it. It's not fast paced. It's not like a luchador. It's not a trios match. It's not even like AEW's matches where they're, you know, constantly flying around and there's just not a lot of psychology. But this match was good. Like, this is a good, solid New Japan match. Fit for Wrestle Kingdom. If you think about the crowd, and the crowd's going ape for Muto. They love this. I thought everybody played their part well. Shota got the pin over Bushi. Bushi takes the pin. Naito looked good. Sonata looked good. Tana looked good. Everybody was chill. I think this being later in the card might be a little indicative of kind of like a weaker undercard this year. That's why I really didn't agree this card was super stacked. But this wasn't bad at all. Like, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the other tag match, but I can understand if you were just like, man, these are boring. Like, I get why people say these matches are boring, but there's a lot of great minute wrestling detail shit that goes on here, with a lot of the character building and the histories of these guys, and then a lot of simple wrestling shit that just isn't done everywhere else. So, or not everywhere else, but in AEW or WWE, for example, or on the indie scenes, typically. So really good shit here. This match was fucking crazy. Loved this match. So I'll be honest, the card to this point wasn't, it was fine. Like, I was content with it, but there was no intermission and we were kind of chomping through the card. And I get it was a normal work day over in Japan, so they kind of want to get people out of there before like 9 p.m. over there, and I get it. But this came on, and I wrote it off a little bit. I was like, oh, this is going to be, you know, whatever. It's not going to be that great or interesting. I was so wrong. This match was great. I think this was the best Fatal 4-Way I've ever seen in my life. I really do. I'm not a big fan of Fatal 4-Ways. It's weird. Triple threats are goated, but Fatal 4-Ways always seem to turn into like 2 1v1 matches, and they kind of suck. This was great. So we had juniors. They did flippy stuff, but unlike the opener of Lio Rush, Yoh, TJP, Francesco, Akira, this had more purpose. There was a lot of cool shit they played with. Specifically the finish, but Ishimori sitting on the ramp and then everybody going to get him, and then Ishimori running them all into each other, fucking great. Like, Three Stoogedom, amazing. Desperado looked really good in this one, man. I thought he looked great carrying the belt into Kingdom last year and then beating Takahashi, if my memory serves me correct. Everyone here looked great. And the finish, Master WATO was getting chants and reactions and pops, and the crowd was so behind him to win this one. And over, he had opportunity, and then they just ripped it. They just had Takahashi win, and it was amazing. this match was fun. So much good shit at the end there with WATO almost getting the crucifix pin like 3 times, 4 times. I think at one point he let it go. He like had it on Desperado and then let it go so he could do like a bigger move, and then he got cunted. Fucking great. Really, really good shit. This was yeah, this was a really, really good match. And again, guys were flying, but it made sense and it came at the right times, and it there was better chemistry, and it didn't just look like gymnastics. Like it really looked like guys were there when they needed to be. And I tell you what, the juniors division is great. It might not have the star names, right? We talked about Ospreay being a junior, right? He used to be a junior, and Kenny Omega was a junior, and I mean, they have Kushida back, so that's huge, right? Because Kushida left like a god, leaving, and Taka basically crowned Takahashi, who's a god. But I understand, like, no Ricochet, right? I understand the name value might not be there in the juniors division, but the talent is there. Yo, Sho, ELP, these 4 fucking guys. Ishimori's been delivering for how long? Same with Takahashi. Desperado proved last year just how fucking top guy he can be in the division. WATO is a new budding star. I think WATO gained a lot from being a juniors tag champ with Taguchi being the 69th tag champs. And doing a bunch of shit with their ass. So that was fucking great and awesome, and that made the undercard really great and awesome. And yeah, there's so much good shit in the juniors division right now. I really, really like it. I just hope they can keep rotating the names and maybe amping up some guys as well, because I'll be honest, like, they've got a really good core guys of guys, but they need to get to the point where they're really at a level that they can really start having some name and star power, some real high level charisma. I know a lot of people like ELP. He's cool. He's not bad. He does a lot of cool shit. He's got a lot of stuff going for him. I don't even think he's like bad at all. But it just feels like that next Ricochet or Ospreay is waiting somewhere in the wings, and then that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like they really have a really super talented dude somewhere out there that can kind of be at that same name value. But as it stands, I mean, the talent, the talent is there. This match fucked. Like, this was a really, really good match, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was very well worth being the 3rd Wrestle Kingdom match. I mean, how many great juniors matches have we had at the Dome at Wrestle Kingdom? And this was one of them. Like, this match deserves so much praise, man. I hope people really like this. I hope people really saw WATO and was like cheering for him. Again, another finish tonight that was so well done. The Ren Narita and Zack Sabre Jr. one, and this, so well done. So well done. All right. I imagine this might be the match people are skipping to, and that's fine. There's no... I'm not upset at it. I get Kenny's a big draw, and we'll talk about a lot of thoughts here. So Kenny Omega came out to the Sephiroth theme, which is really sick. Literally came out to One Winged Angel. Very fitting. Kenny really knows how to do the anime shit really well. And if you're in the camp of like wrestling is anime, I'm sure you love Kenny. Kenny's cool. I don't hate Kenny. He's fine. Kenny definitely has Kenny Omega matches, but one thing to me that stands out so violently is that for some reason, and it could be the booking, it could be Kenny himself, it could just maybe be New Japan being smaller, I guess, but maybe not. It could be the talent around him. Kenny Omega feels the biggest, the most epic, the most him. Like, that aura he carries is no bigger than when he's in New Japan. And for some reason, when he's in AEW, it's like he's just another guy. It really does. Like, he's a top guy, but it doesn't feel like watching MJF in AEW, or even what Moxley has become. And I fucking hate Moxley, but I respect what his aura, what he's been built into. Even though I think he sucks and he's the shits to watch wrestle, that guy's really done a lot, and people love him, and he's super over, and I get it. Kenny doesn't feel that way when you watch AEW. Like, when you watch AEW, like, I might not like Moxley, but he's definitely like a presence and a force. Kenny, I think maybe because he's wrapped up so much in the elite, and then every now and again he does dumb, like, insignificant shit, like wrestling for a 6-man tag championship in a tournament they created. Like, it's not the most impactful big time stuff, but, like, I don't know, he just feels like another guy in AEW. He doesn't carry that, like, mythos, if you know what I mean. It really feels like Kenny has like a larger than life personality and aura when he's in New Japan. And I think a lot of, if you're an AEW stan too, feel like maybe you're inclined to say, like, well, New Japan's smaller. And, like, I guess, but, like, I don't know. You know, I also feel this way. I feel this way about Daniel Bryan, because they've made Daniel Bryan he was in the faction with Moxley in them, but he was feuding with Moxley, and then he got turned babyface, even though he was an incredible heel. And they somehow, Bryan just doesn't feel as big. And I mean, fuck, Adam Cole was supposed to be big thing, but he didn't feel as big either. And then he was getting jobbed out to Paige, and it's just, I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong, and I just don't like AEW. And wow, it's just me. But there's something about Kenny Omega at Tokyo Dome in these big matches that you just know you're gonna see some crazy, great incredibleness, and this is like him at the top. That just doesn't feel that way. Like watching Kenny go to a G1 main event in any random G1 night, like night 6 G1 B block Kenny Omega main event against whoever, feels cracked. Where like watching him go wrestle in like AEW's main event, like I can't place it. I really can't place why. I can't place why he doesn't feel so awesome, and I really mean that word, how that word is, like, in awe of like what Kenny Omega can do. But Ospreay entered. You know, I'm not that big of a Kenny Omega fan, but I certainly do. I talked him up a bit, didn't I? But Kenny Omega entered, and then Ospreay entered, right? Ospreay was great. He was bringing back the assassin. He had his music play. It was really, really good. No one really knew what would happen here. I think people were thinking Kenny would win. I saw someone say if Will Ospreay wins, there's no story. That's fucking wrong, you idiot. What do you mean there's no if there could be any story? Kenny Omega could fuck his wife. Kenny Omega could blow up his house. Kenny Omega could shoot him. I don't know. Ospreay could win, but he doesn't feel like he won well. Anything. What do you mean there's no story? There's no second match? Are you fucking dumb? They can do anything. What do you mean? You must have no creativity if you can tell me that, well, if Will Ospreay wins, they don't have a second match. What does that mean? Shit like that only makes sense to like the most internety wrestling dudes. I swear to God. What do you mean there's no second match? Why can't there be? Because Ospreay won? Motherfucker, they can do anything. Kenny Omega can go into a fucking blind rage and break everything in his fucking house over the fact that he can't beat Ospreay, that he didn't beat Ospreay. He could be waking up in cold sweats. He could murder Callus over it. He could be pissed. He could, I don't know, do anything. Do you not have ideas? Are you not creative enough to think? I swear to God, this shit only makes sense to wrestling fans that think in some weird wrestling way. And it's so silly. There's also this talk, again, and I think it's dumb, about quote unquote, did the right guy win? Or Kenny Omega, the right guy won. I don't think that's the situation. I honestly, I'll be very honest, I rarely think it's a situation of the right guy needs to win. I rarely do. I think wrestling fans get this shit in their brains so fucking often. It's so weird, and I really think it's just if you're really in like a wrestling brain cell set, and it's really odd to me. I think like sometimes, yeah, the quote unquote right person needs to win. I kind of get that sometimes, but they're very specific conditions. In a situation like this, either of these guys could have won. The win doesn't really matter, right? It's kind of the context around it and what you do after. This is not a situation where the right guy needs to win. You know, in the Tama Tonga Karl Anderson match, and I think Karl Anderson could have won this match too, and you could have done something out of it. It makes sense that there was more so a right guy for Tama to win. You want the belt back. There is some external backlash. It just makes sense. There is no right guy to win this match. Either one of them could have. It's so silly to me, and I don't know if people were just working themselves over, literally, like it's a work, like they're just actually upset over the fake wrestling they're watching. Like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I understand Kenny Omega can be polarizing too. I'm indifferent. I genuinely don't care. Kenny has some great matches. Kenny has some stupid matches. Kenny Omega wrestles Kenny Omega matches. So be ready to watch a Kenny Omega match. If you don't like those matches, don't like them. If people say that there's 7 stars and you don't like them, then you don't like them. Just be like a normal human about it. I feel like people work themselves into a blistering outrage about shit. But this match was great. I mean, fucking great. Really, really, really great. Ospreay bled, and he bled so well. Again, Lio Rush bleeding in the first fucking match of the night takes away from the bleeding, but you need blood in a really violent feud like this means so much. These two were going at it. Ospreay cut a wonderful promo in the press conference. If you didn't catch it, please go find it. It was amazing. Ospreay and Omega are like smacking each other from the jump. They're getting nasty. They're getting real dirty about it. They're in each other's shit. This was watching two brothers fight. This was watching some real menacing shit. And it's kind of why, if there's one criticism I do have over Omega, is that he can do some of the most simple shit so well, but then he still does some really wacky, like, fuckinator off the top rope, you know? He's like, oh, we gotta do some dragon suplex Spanish fly off the top rope, or some other shit. And it's really sad because, like, you don't need to, and he's got injuries too now, right? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, again, I might not love or hate Kenny Omega. I don't care about him, but I recognize that he's a really great talent. He's very over. He does a lot of cool shit, and he's a merch guy, and he's got a lot of value. And it sucks to see a guy like that get a lot of injuries and rack him up, and that's part and due to the shit that he does. and he does some really reckless shit in the ring. And it's not even, to me, it's not even about safety for the other guy. It's just a shame to see a guy's body get so fucking trashed. And he's older, right? Kenny's not spry. He's not like Ospreay's age. He's not even Okada's age. He's like fucking what, 40 now. He's getting up there. But to see a guy like him who works so hard, who's so unique and special, really kill himself when he doesn't need to get the same value, it is a little sad. And I think that's one criticism that's very valid, that to loft on to Kenny. The petty slaps that they're doing to each other in the match are great. They're like two brothers fighting. Ospreay going for the Os Cutter and never getting it is always funny, but it was even better here because, you know, they worked it to where he's trying to get the Os Cutter all game. But he's had other matches with Okada where he hits the Os Cutter early and it doesn't do shit, so he has to go away from it. Ospreay does a lot of hidden blade stuff here. They break out the table and Kenny Omega stomps the table through Ospreay and puts a hole in it. Holy shit. And then he puts his head through the hole and he's like, here's Kenny. Fucking hilarious, man. And see, shit like that is so great. You want a guy like that to be healthy all the time and stick around. That's why I say it's a shame, not because I think it's dumb or bad or not in kayfabe, but because I want to see him do cool shit like this. It's funny. These are the positive qualities that I appreciate about Kenny. Ospreay too. I wrote this down. The art of selling in pro wrestling, you do not appreciate it until you watch Will Ospreay or Seth Rollins. The two dudes just know how to bump, and they're so physical by it, right? If Ricky Morton was one of the best sellers of his age of wrestling, because he had these facial expressions and he knew how to reach out to the crowd and beg for help like he was dying in that ring, Ospreay and Rollins are able to throw their bodies in ways that just work. I think Kenny Omega did a backbreaker to Ospreay, and Ospreay like fucking flipped himself. Like, I don't even think it was Omega. Like, it looked like Ospreay like flipped himself in Omega's arms and like baned his fucking ass, like Bane breaking Batman's back, and he just twisted his back so he could just crumble in half onto Omega's knee, and it fucking looked vicious. It looked so fucking good. Like, oh my god, it looked so good. And we know Ospreay's an athlete. We know Kenny's an athlete, right? We know these are two really, really, really athletic guys going at it. But man, this was crazy. Watching Ospreay kill himself. And then we had some real sexy spots, like real violent spots with the apron. Kenny Omega takes the pad off the apron early. Yano would be proud. Omega drives Ospreay headfirst with a DDT onto the apron, or onto the turnbuckle, and then he does another spot, I can't remember what it was, but he kills him. He basically kills him twice. Kenny kills Will twice on an exposed turnbuckle. Very gnarly, super fucking vicious in a great way. I watch GCW, this Game Changer Wrestling. That's the death match or ultra violent wrestling you may see, where guys are killing each other with barbed wire, are killing each other with light tubes and bleeding everywhere. I've watched Tournament of Death. I've seen the Weed Whacker. I've seen Sick Nick Mondo. I like deathmatch wrestling. I like hardcore wrestling. I don't love it. I'd say it's not my favorite, but I like it. I watch it. I've watched it from time to time. It has its place. Blood and gore have their place, and this is a time where those really violent looking moves were awesome. They were great. Not sure about the fuckinators off the top rope, but that's okay. Kenny was the worst of one of them. Ospreay like backflipped out of one, and Kenny like landed on his fucking neck. God damn, man, I want to see you wrestle more. I don't want to see you die. But, you know, I'll be the first one to say that one, it's not my place, and two, if they do that, like, I think it's sick. Like, it's dope. Like, when Will Ospreay, when he won the IWGP World Championship against Kota Ibushi, I think, like, 5 minutes in, Will Ospreay, like, back suplexed Kota, like, spine first on the fucking steel rail. Now, that's crazy, and they probably shouldn't do that a lot, or ever, but at the same time, I was like, oh my fucking god! I thought it was sick. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was dope. And I know a lot of guys and gals worry about this sort of thing and the health of wrestlers, but I always trust that they're autonomous human beings. They have the right to do whatever they want. We can acknowledge the concern and worry, and that's what I like to do, but this was sick. All of this was sick. Fucking great match. Will Ospreay is so dead and bleeding. Kenny Omega at one point takes Ospreay out of the ring, grabs his hair, and he's just slamming Ospreay's head, bloodied, face first, into the table that already has a hole right through it, and he's just slamming Ospreay. And Ospreay's bleeding so much you can see dents into the table and blood running down the table because Ospreay is fucking bleeding so bad. Great cut job. Ospreay's selling like death. At one point, Ospreay is so fucked on the outside of the ring. The entire United Kingdom is like, they're like screaming for Ospreay to get up, and then there's a camera zooming in on them, like, come on Ospreay, we need you to get up, you need to get back in the ring. And Ospreay is like trying to get in. It's done so well. It's done so well. Simple shit. Again, simple shit. It's done so well. A lot of this match becomes a formality after Omega kills Ospreay, even the first time on the turnbuckle exposed. And we get into that King's Road kind of fighting spirit ideology of the 90s Japan, where even though a guy's out and they're losing, they give it their all. They continue to fight and fight and fight. It's that fighting will. And Ospreay does a great job of this. Trying to hit Hidden Blade, fighting out of a lot of stuff, tries to go for Stormbreaker, doesn't connect. Very, very good shit. And then what basically is a formality after a million V-triggers later, Kenny hits the One-Winged Angel, and it's 3. I think people were always interested, does Will Ospreay kick out of the One-Winged Angel? I think the answer is no. I think Kenny's reserved that to help put over Paige and for Ibushi. I don't think anyone will ever kick out of that again. I don't think he... Maybe Kenny does a favor to Ospreay. I really don't. I think Kenny doesn't. I think Kenny's fine. I don't think you're ever going to see anyone kick out of that again except Ibushi, to be fair. I don't think Kenny's given that favor out. I don't know anything about Kenny. Maybe he is. I don't know. But that's so protected. I think it just seems like the answer is no. Seems like it seems like he never wanted anyone but Ibushi to kick out, and then he decided, hey, I'll do one for AEW, and I'll give Paige it. That's kind of how that felt. But who fucking knows? Fucking I don't. But it was a big thought, big question. Again, I don't give star ratings. I think it's silly. I just say what I think is really good. This is an easy match of the year contender. It might not get beaten. Okada Ospreay last year was the match of the year for me. It never got beaten. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. This was stellar. This was great. Again, I think maybe this went a little long. Just a little. This was great. This was great. I'm not going to say anything else. I really don't want to sour this. I don't think there's a lot to sour on. This was great. This was great. This was great. Another video can be dissecting what makes this and what makes Kenny Okada and what makes Okada Ospreay, different or better or worse or whatever. But this was amazing. This is the match you watch Wrestle Kingdom for. This is the match you stay up at 2 a.m. to watch. This is for sure. Yeah, great match. Everyone out of this is goated for it. And now we go to Okada and Jay White, our main event. This is getting promoted as a double main event. So this is like the actual main event. Double main event 2, you can see there. Ooh. All right. Yeah, I think Okada's got a fair claim to one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I know that that's not a great opinion for a lot of people, but I love Okada. Think he's great. If the Kenny Okada feud got people to know who Kenny was and really fall in love with Kenny and the Elite and the YouTube channel and all of that, it made me fall in love with Okada. I was like, who is this dude with money raining down from the ceiling, wearing this sick-ass robe, posing like he fucking owns the place? This dude is cool. I love Okada. And I love Jay White. I love the Switchblade. Best heel? Is he the best heel in the world right now? Is Jay White the best heel in the world? Is there a better heel right now in wrestling than Jay White? MJF. MJF. That's MJF. MJF. For sure. After MJF? Jay? Who else takes the nod? I guess for some, maybe Kenny. Shit, I bet Kenny stands are probably saying Kenny over MJF. I really can't state that. I don't like that conversation a lot. I don't like best in the world, best heel right now, all that nonsense. But why it's important and why I'm saying it here is because before we review this, Okada and White are two of the very, very best. And I said these are the two best wrestlers in the world wrestling right now. And I know Omega and Ospreay just had a crazy good match, but consistently these two deliver. I mean, these two deliver. Like, I think very honestly, in my opinion, Omega has some clunkers. Ospreay has matches that, they're not. I don't think they ever hit clunkers, but they, sometimes Ospreay's flipping a little too much, or his dance partner's not always that impressive. Okada and Jay White have the match every time, for me, at least. White does his heel stuff so well, and Okada is Okada. Enough said. These two have had very similar matches that have built and went in different ways consistently, time and again. And watching this match again, if you've seen their previous matches, you kind of know what to expect. And I always say the great thing about Okada matches are watching Okada wrestle is like edging. And I mean that. I mean that very honestly. I mean, shit, the match doesn't start until he hits a drop kick, right? That's the Kevin Kelly quote. The Okada match his match doesn't start until he drop kicks you. And that happened about 16 minutes in. This is great from the start. Jay White's being an ass. He's clapping. He's making fun of the crowd. He's getting the crowd to chant Okada's name. Jay says, "Oh, you owe me for that, Okada." Jay's grappling quick. He's out muscling Okada. He's being a cunt. And we didn't even see the, like, some Okada moves. We didn't see the wheelbarrow neck breaker. We didn't see, like, the dude buster. We've sometimes seen him break out that. We didn't even see a tombstone. We saw the spinning tombstone, but we didn't see one tombstone. We saw Okada go to the money clip, but not too often. We saw Jay not go to Kiwi Crusher. Instead, he hit a Fisherman Buster. Kind of looked like Kenny's Fisherman Buster. And he hit Bloody Sunday early. He just whipped that out early. He said, fuck it, I'm going to this early. Went to it before Blade Runner hit. I'm bringing all this up because watching this match at a vacuum, I think if you tuned in to see Kenny Omega with Ospreay, and the last time you saw Okada, Jay White, if you've ever seen them wrestle, might have been Dominion, but might have been like Madison Square Garden and Ring of Honor's cross event, right? Or it might have been at Kingdom again, but you might not appreciate what these guys do. And that's the slow build. These guys have worked each other a lot before. Jay White sits down on the Rainmaker attempt, right? And Okada knows what he's going to see from White. And he's kind of trying to find an opening to deal with that. Like, we see Jay White slam Okada into the apron, into the railing, into the apron, into the railing, like he does everyone else. And I think these are the finer details that, in a vacuum, this might not be better than Ospreay Omega to you. This might even be underwhelming. But if you've watched these matches, why I'm mentioning going to Bloody Sunday early, not even doing Kiwi Crusher, Okada not even going to the Tombstone, looking for that spinning lariat early instead of going for Rainmaker at all. This was like watching... It was like watching, like, Rock Lee versus Neji. And a better example, if you don't watch Naruto, it was like watching two friends that knew each other play like a fighting video game. Like, you know what the other's gonna do, you know what tactics to do. And the way Okada wrestled this was like getting through it. Like, Okada wrestled this like, yo, I've been in this main event, I've wrestled Jay White before, I know what to do. I don't care if I'm 1-5 against him coming in. I don't care. I know what to do. He was 1-4. He's 1-4. And again, Okada. They kept talking about the mental toughness. Kevin Kelly and them were selling it, and I didn't really think about it. But I was like, man, that makes sense, because Jay White was crying out to Gato a little bit earlier in the match, around 20-minute mark. He wasn't doing it like he did against Ibushi, but he was still doing it. And Carlton was mentioning White with the tears in his eyes. Jay White was like yelling different stuff at Okada throughout the match. And, he said he won't let you take it. I'm not going to let you take this from me. I'm not going to let you take this from me. I'm not going to let you take this from me. He kept saying that. And you just felt, if you're really connected to these guys, if you really appreciate these two and what they've built as a story and a narrative, you almost felt for Jay White in a way that you might not have felt for Jay White, or might not often feel for how much of a dick he is, because he's so desperately trying to be the guy and beat Okada, and it's voiced out there in the open, and he just can't. And you see, we knew what this is. We knew who was winning this match. Nobody saw this match and thought in good conscience or in good faith that Jay White was winning. Not on the night they celebrate Antonio Inoki. in the year Okada said he was going to honor Inoki. Not at the Dome. This can't. Jay White's not winning. And he doesn't. And we all know that. And again, going back to that King's Road, that fighting spirit, Jay White shows it. And he shows it, and he shows it, and he shows it, and he loses again. And even though he's 4-2 over Okada, at this moment, with these lights, to defend the title, it's just not his era. And that is so brutal. And you see White holds on to the belt at the end. He doesn't want to give it. He doesn't want to give it. He's holding on it. He goes to the belt and holds it. He doesn't want to give it away. That Bret Hart line, are you kissing it goodbye? You know, when you kiss the belt, are you kissing it to keep it, right? Because you love it. Oh, in a vacuum, this might not even be that impressive of a match to some people, I'm sure. But if you know White and you've watched New Japan and you've watched Okada, I thought the finish last year with Okada to Shingo, he finished Shingo and Ospreay in the same fashion with the Flosion and then the dropkick and Rainmaker. He said, I'm done. Dropkick, Flosion, Rainmaker. He said, fuck y'all, I'm ending this. And it was so violent. It was like Rainmaker's back. Like, Okada is back. This is now Rainmaker again. Like, he is fully back. And this is the new year. This is how they're going to kick off, like, leaving the pandemic. They're cementing Okada back in here. And tonight, man, I mean, the drop kick wasn't wasting time. Went to the twist and tombstone. Yeah, it was great. It was really, really great. The finer details were great. And we saw, again, I say Okada matches are like edging. And it was up to the point where Jay hits the Blade Runner. And you know Okada's winning. You just know Okada's winning. But how do you get a near fall? Is you make him believe, and Jay hits the Blade Runner, and it's 1-2 kick out. And it was so well done. And they're chaining into it from the Rainmakers to the backside switches to all of it, and it was just great. It was so well done, and this is the shit I just appreciate so much. And this is the long-term storytelling that people talk about and joke about and meme about in New Japan, but when it comes together, it's this good. And I just loved it. Like, this is such good shit. This match was great. Once the Blade Runner hit and we got the 2 count, I lost it. I was like, oh, fucking yes. Yes, I was losing it. Yes. I was like, I want more. I need more. I need crack. This is crack. And then, of course, Okada hits Rainmaker and it's 2 count, because duh. But you don't know that because Jay showed his. Okada, I mean, again, even though you've watched a lot of wrestling and you've seen a lot of stuff, with how violent Okada is in him winning, when he wins, he just wins so quick. It's so sick. It's so nasty. Like, every time Okada wins in a big match, it is just immediately over, and it's just such a final flush of a feeling. It's just so over. He's dashed the hopes of Kenny. He's dashed the hopes of Naito. He's dashing the hopes of Jay. It's just so swift, and it's just like, yep, he's the dude. So when he hits that Rainmaker, you just don't know that it's not over. But then he kicks out, and it's like, whoa, where do we go from here? It's crack. I talked about this match being like the what seems to be Okada's calling time. Okada doesn't really wrestle into that 40-minute mark or even really getting close to it. I think this had to have been under 35. Because they called the 25-minute mark, and I was like, oh, okay, we're really getting into it here. And then the Rainmaker kick out is before 30 minutes. And then they call the 30-minute mark, and I'm like, where are we going from here? And then we ended it pretty quickly after that. Again, not a bad match at all. Not at all. Jay and Okada had a bonkers great match, and if you Again, if you hang in there and you love wrestling in New Japan and you like the long-term storytelling, this is for you. This is for you. This is what the payoff is. Because you get these matches that are all about the details and how they play out, and they're just so sick. Like, literally, when Jay White went for Bloody Sunday so early, I was like, yo, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's just going to kill him. He's going to kill him. And it's so interesting to look back because no Kiwi Crusher, like, at all. Like, he hit the Fisherman Buster. I think Kevin Kelly said something like, "Oh, that could have been a botched Kiwi Crusher," but it didn't look like a Kiwi Crusher at all. Not at all. It looked like the Fisherman Buster. It literally looked like the Fisherman Buster Kenny does, but it wasn't like a brain buster. It was like a suplex. It really was that simple. Did we see an elbow drop? Did we see Okada's elbow drop? I don't think we did. I don't even think we saw the elbow drop from Okada. We didn't see the normal tombstone before the spinning tombstone, and we didn't see the elbow drop. But we saw him go to the fake makers. I call them fake makers. Whenever he holds the wrist and then hits you, but he didn't spin you, they're fake makers. They're warm-up makers. They're not so rain makers. They're partly cloudy makers. There's light rain maker. Light rain maker sounds cute. Oh, and of course we saw the J maker. We saw the J makers, the light J makers. Those were pretty sick. And we saw Okada hit a Blade Runner. Wasn't that fucking? Oh my god, that was so cool too. Ah, dude, those finisher reversal spams are cool when you know they're two dudes with history. Like, these guys have wrestled 6 times. They wrestled already this year. This match was great. The last 3 matches are why you stay up from 2 or 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning and make a podcast about it. They really are. They really, really are. Because this match was so good, and the Omega Ospreay match was so good. Like, if I talked off early and I was talking about how bad the Sasha Banks post segment was, and how shitty this tag match was, and how the rest of the card was a little underwhelming, like Karl Anderson and Tonga. But then you saw this, and you saw this. These 2 matches are the top 10 matches in the year so far, easy, and they might end it too. Kenny Omega Ospreay might be your favorite match of the decade. It literally was that good. I could see people going, "That's my favorite match of all time." Like, I genuinely could understand why, because this match was crazy good. It's not my favorite match of all time. It doesn't beat out Okada Ospreay for me, but that's like the level of quality New Japan delivers. That you got to come out and watch it. You have to. And if these weren't crazy great matches that you'll cherish forever, that's cool. Like, if you thought these were clunkers, that's fine. I understand. I find a lot of Kenny Omega and a lot of AEW and WWE stuff to be clunkers constantly, so I get it. Different strokes for different folks, but this Okada White match was great, and I think I said it last year, the best match last year, and probably like an all-time favorite of mine, was Okada Ospreay. Which, like, man. Like, this was just good. This was just too good. This whole match was just too good. I gotta just look at it. I'm sure my audio is stuttering because my computer sucks, but this was so good. But you want to know? So this is the best match of the last year. You know what my favorite match was? Like, my favorite match to go watch was FTR versus Briscoes at Impact. Wait, was this at Ring of Honor and not Impact? Was the first one Ring of Honor? I really can't remember. I think this was the first one. Was Ring of Honor? It wasn't Impact. I could not remember. So it was Ring of Honor. It was Supercard. Damn, that Supercard sucked. What was the main event? Didn't like Samoa Joe come out and do something for giggles? Man, I remember hating this wrestling card. This is why I watched it, because this makes so much more sense, because I occasionally will watch Impact. Like I watched Slammiversary this year, and I watched something else. I think I watched Hard Justice or something. All I remember was Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo in a Texas Death Match, and it was great. It ripped, like really, really cool match. But I remember this match, but I remember the card was horrible. But Briscoes FTR, dude, too good, too good. Yeah. Was this Final Battle? Briscoes beat FTR to win Ring of Honor championships. Yeah, I didn't even see Final Battle. I was pretty bogged up those last few months, so no, I didn't even watch. I had known the Briscoes had some. I think it was like a homophobic tweet or something. But nice. I hope Final Battle was better. A better match. I hope it was a better match. Obviously not because the first one was bad. Because I thought it was fucking great. Love that match, but nice. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my god, they just do it. They just do it better. I'm sorry, they're just better. It sucks. It's like Luka Doncic making a crazy shot. It's like I'm sorry, but he's just better. You just got to take that. Alrighty. Oh, what a good another Wrestle Kingdom down. Very very good Wrestle Kingdom. I hope people enjoyed it. I hope people enjoyed. Hope feel like you got your time and your money's worth. And if you didn't watch it live, don't ever feel any type of way about that. I'm crazy for watching it live. Absolutely crazy. I'm on the East Coast of the U.S., man. It's not great. It's not smart to watch these live, man. You really shouldn't. But such a good card. But I hope everybody enjoyed it. And there's dope wrestling all around all the time. Even if I might say something sucks, it doesn't mean it, and I'm sure you don't think everything sucks. So go watch some crazy good wrestling. There's so much of it out there now, and it's all accessible. But definitely check out New Japan. In the post-match, so I talked about what Jay White did, and then he left. Shingo Takagi actually came out. I'm gonna type in here so make sure my recording doesn't bug out, because I know it does that. But Shingo Takagi actually came out post-match, so Takagi was in a main event last year for the world title against Okada. And he was in the Ranbo this year, and he finally placed in the Ranbo, because he should, for the KOPW title. Oh, excuse me so much, my throat's really, really grunting. But Takagi came out and challenged Okada to defend the belt at New Beginnings. So if you're like me and you love Shingo Takagi Okada again. They had a wonderful match last year at Wrestle Kingdom. Go watch it. It's dope. Ooh, excuse me. But I hope that was Wrestle Kingdom. I fucking loved it. It was great. It was worth it. It was so worth it. The undercard lacked, but that's okay. I really hope to see more from this. The really two big takeaways is I really hope to see more from Zach. Suzuki Goon's down now. I'd like to see ZSJ. We saw them with TDK. We saw them with TDK. TDK came out and they banded together and they had a little selfie, which was cute. But I think that I don't know where that goes. I'd like to see ZSJ maybe get his own faction, and I would also like to see. I'd really, really like to see that juniors division. I'd like to see WATO or somebody like really become goated and take like that next step. I really would like to see that kind of big time next step taken. And yeah, those are my big thoughts right now. I'm not really worried about Jay White coming back into the fold. I mean, I think we knew Okada was gonna win here. I appreciate the stability. I'd like to see Okada. I'd like them to not maybe go. They don't have to go away from Okada as world champ at all, like harshly. But I think that I'd like to see Okada strike up a new rivalry. I wonder what the money on the table is for Shota Umino or Ren Narita to be sniffing around world title action by next year. Umino looks ready for it. I'll tell you that much. That guy looks great. He's literally 75% Tana, 25% Steiner. Like, it's crazy. Shota definitely feels like he's ready for it, but I don't know about Narita. I really hope Narita finds himself. He's too much Shibata right now. I need him to be more Ren Narita. But another year culminating Wrestle Kingdom. It's kind of funny how Wrestle Kingdom serves to culminate one year and then kick off another. It's really cool. It's really beautiful. It's like some life and death with that. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, that's all for me on Scuffed. I will give a quick blurb for content. This is gonna be this is the Bodcast, the podcast, the Sod Last. I'm doing well. Everything is chill, hanging out. Got a new mic. Hope the mic sounds better. I'm sure there's still been some shitty connection or some chippering because my computer's bad. And we've been streaming. If you care at all, I've been streaming Pathfinder Kingmaker. Might stream Mass Effect soon. Mass Effect 3 probably. Because I'm finishing up Mass Effect 2 right now. I need to do Dr. Kenson's mission. And then I'm done. I'll start Mass Effect 3. Yeah. But we've started streaming. It's been fun. Had a really bad stream, but then had a really good stream. So if you're interested in that at all, I stream at Scuffed Stuff on Twitch. I'll probably have a link on my YouTube page when this goes live. I'll probably have it just in the description, or not description, but in the YouTube channel page. Also have a VOD up there. But things have been cool here. I hope. Excuse me. I hope everyone watching, things have been dope. Hope everyone's excited for the new year. Hope everybody has their New Year theme instead of resolution. Or, well, both. Why not? I don't care. If you have a resolution, that's great. But look into New Year's themes. They're a pretty cool idea. But, yeah, that's it for me. I appreciate everybody and hope everybody that watched Wrestle Kingdom enjoyed it, because it was the last 3 matches, man. They were great. They were so fucking good.